I see lots of teammates and friends out in the audience that just makes me very happy and proud to share this day with you all. I also see a very beautiful and smart and talented young woman out there, my daughter Molly. Thank you for being here. And my heart is with my other daughter, Kelsey, who's in Australia. And I wish she was here, but my heart is with her. To be honest, when I first got the letter from our CEO, Chris Ramsey, I thought it was a bit of a mistake. I immediately thought there might be a second Russ Hafferkamp somewhere on the membership ranks, and it was going to catch up to me, and they were going to figure out that it was a mistake. And then I read the fine print, and I thought they might be putting me in the wacky left-handers wing of the Hall of Fame, and it wasn't a real deal. But when it hit me, I was super proud. I think I secretly always wished that something like this would happen to me. But to be fair, I also wish that I'd be rich, and that didn't happen. But yeah, I'm here. I'm here today, and I'm very, very honored. It's an awesome feeling. I want to thank Brett Bolander and Deon Gray and the whole entire Hall of Fame committee for giving me this very special recognition. This is a very difficult assignment, Greg, to sum up 50 years of feelings into a few minutes. I can barely remember passwords and usernames, so I've got a few notes to share. I realize that this honor is a reflection of a body of work, but first and foremost, and at the core, I consider myself an athlete, and everything I do outside of the pool or for the sport is from an athletic bent. My path here today was not something I anticipated or I dreamed of as a kid. I was not born into a swimmer's family or an aquatic community. In fact, I was late to water polo, and almost every other American kid at the time that I was going through high school did what I did. We played football, we played basketball, we played baseball, and water polo was really not on the horizon. The closest I ever came to competitive swimming was body surfing, so I didn't possess the pedigree, the age group pedigree that most athletes had come along have. So it was a tall climb, and I couldn't have done it without a number of people. My first real introduction to water sport was in the early 70s at Santa Barbara City College, and there was a gentleman by the name of Dave Gray, who was my first real coach in water polo. And I don't think that Dave really liked me that much. I was impatient. I had what left-handers consider, I believe that the best defense is a good offense, and that kind of frustrated him. And I also thought that Dave's ability to be a strict fundamentalist probably helped me the most. There's not a thing I do or I will do tomorrow when I play with my team at the tournament that isn't fundamentally sound, and I owe that a lot to Dave Gray. But he was a very, very good influence. I think that when he said that I had a $1 million arm and a 10-cent water polo brain back in 1972, I think he was onto something. But right from the start, he was there, and then very early in my relationship with water polo, my trajectory changed, and it made a very sharp turn, kind of a life-changing turn. I came into the national team right after college. I really was just 4 or 5 years playing the game, and I was around people that had been playing for quite some time, and it was a challenge. But it was, it seems like yesterday, but then then President Jimmy Carter thought that it would be good to boycott the 1980 Olympic Games. And if you remember at the time, the Olympics were a little bit on shaky ground. We hadn't qualified in 1976. 1980 was going to be boycotted. There was some question about 84 would be boycotted. And so this notion that I had an Olympic dream was not really one that I grew up having, but every day I showed up to practice, and I seemed to be getting a little bit better. But when this boycott came, I I felt that it was time to move on. I moved on to coaching at San Diego. I moved on to coaching at Cal Poly. I moved on to Australia, and eventually I ended up in San Francisco, where I joined the Olympic Club. And that's where I really began to enjoy the sport and find myself as an athlete. To say that sport, they say in sport that the best ability is availability, and a place where you can practice your craft. And the Olympic Club in San Francisco, I'm very thankful for. They were ahead of its time, but they supported water polo over 100 years ago in the process. And there have been hundreds of athletes like myself that have had an ability to go there and practice and get better. And I don't care what Allen Iverson says about practice. In our sport, you need to get better in practice, and that's how you get better. And so I think that the Olympic Club in particular, I had to stack up my skills against the best every single day in practice and in games. And so I have a great, fond bit of thanks to all of my Olympic Club teammates and the institution Olympic Club. 50 years later, I've competed, and this is a scary number, and I guess I try to add them up, a little over 1,000 water polo games, probably a few more than that, and then countless practices and going to watch Olympic Games and scrimmages and things of that nature. And about the only thing I can say about that is that I now have $1 million water polo mine and a 10-cent arm. So I've come full circle, and I'm pretty stoked about that. I've also enjoyed a very full water polo experience. I'm very thankful the sport's allowed me some very great lifetime moments. I've personally been privileged to compete with and against some incredible teammates and competitors in games mundane and games where you have to really need to bring your best to prevail. I've been able to compete and coach and win national and world championships. I've been able to watch my daughters, both of my daughters, compete in college water polo. I've been able to represent my country in competition and match up against some of the world's best water polo players. I was a part of the first USA water polo sanctioned Masters tournament in Los Angeles in 1989, and it was a great beginning to the great Santa Barbara Masters water polo legacy. Very happy about that. I was also there for the beginnings of women's water polo, and I was in the house and witnessed 17,000 screaming fans cheer on our first women's Olympic team in the Sydney Olympic Games gold medal. I was a part of the inaugural and very successful Industry Hills Aquatic Club, which was founded by and coached by my friends, the late Scott Massey from UCLA and the late Scott Hinman from Santa Barbara. And along with Scott Schulte and his New York Athletic Club teammates, together we helped create a terrific championship rivalry that exists today, and something that's I'm very fond of that legacy. But standing here, more than feeling pride at being elected to this great hall, I feel pleased. And I feel pleased for having come of age in a time when I always consider the real birth and growth of U.S. water polo. In my formative years, I was blessed to be coached by having learned from some of the best in our sport, coaching legends with names like Catino, Niskowski, Newland, Heaston, Barnett, Lindgren, and two of my faves, Dante Dedamonte, who I think has one of the best water polo minds in the world, and my bestie, Coach Denny Harper, who just completed his 800 win run down at UC San Diego. All of these gentlemen shared their quirky personalities with me, their knowledge and their wisdoms, and I became a better athlete by being coached of all of their generous contributions. Likewise, I've been blessed with having had many of my games officiated by the best of our sport. Like many, I've often had a love-hate relationship, like many athletes. I've had a love-hate relationship with referees. But largely, I enjoyed a shared respect, and they walked us through countless rule changes and interpretations over the years. Great names like Felix, Lee, Hermstead, Heck, Bernard, Takata, Frady, Robinette, Alberstein, and Barron. And my besties, Greg Boyer and Aaron Chaney, both who rose to officiate the Olympic Games. Every referee had the positive impact on me as I learned to play the game and as I learned to grow as an athlete. I might also add, this is the important part of being an athlete in water polo, they all made terrible calls against me too. So I've got a personal thing about that. And then lastly, I've also been blessed with having been active and involved in the sport governance over the years. From a sleepy little NGB, water polo that was been run by volunteers and do-gooders. Water polo has evolved into a professionally run, world-class amateur sports federation. So I'm thankful to the OGs of years past that I was fortunate enough to work with at committees and conventions that as we shaped the direction of our sport. And these invaluable contributors had names like Kalbas, Fosdick, Hale, Metz, Saring, Ratkovic, Shaw, Wygo, and my Olympic Club bestie, the late Andy Burke. They are the ones who did it for the love of the game and not much more, and I enjoyed working and collaborating with them. As my good friend John Ferd would say, this is a list of who's who in water polo, but it's quickly become a list of who's left. And I'm glad to be a part of the recognition of these people. So let me close with recognizing the greatest gift that I received from our sport. It hasn't been the games, it hasn't been the accolades, it hasn't been really the memories. It's been about the wonderful and awesome relationships that all of us speak about, that I've gained during my involvement with U.S. water polo. Many of you are in this room today, and there are relationships I carry forward, either in memories or in deep connection. So I bow my head in awe and support of your friendship. Thank you very much.